Hey, there's a reason that Zoom created the blur background effect and the option to have all of these green screen filters and island pictures and fake bookshelves in the background. So many people are really self-conscious of what they got going on in the back. They're kind of embarrassed about what's in their background. Well, sometimes that green screen's not working perfect, or maybe you're not fully tech savvy enough to figure out the blur effect. I know for me, I'm late to the game. I didn't even know blurring the background was an option. And quite frankly, I don't really care to sit down and figure out how to do that background. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just open your laptop or turn on your phone and boom, the background was ready to go and it looked great and professional and you weren't embarrassed? Can you relate to this a little bit? Not really tech savvy, not wanting to spend the time figuring out which background to pick out. You just want it to already be there. Well, that's why I'm making this video for you today, guys. Get your pen and paper ready. I'm about to share with you some tips to create a professional looking background for all of your video calls. And not only will you look professional, your personal energy will be supported. I'm Jeanette Sizikowski, your go-to Feng Shui consultant. Let's hit it. How often are you just sitting at your desk, casually writing emails, yawning, you're there, you've made it, it's another day, 8:30 in the morning, an email comes in and you're like, oh crap, I have a meeting I forgot about in 10 minutes. The background's a mess, I still haven't figured out how to use that blur feature. Oh my gosh, now I have to go run and do my makeup. Ugh, I have so much to get ready. And I get away with having my computer screen off? No, there's only like 3 of us in this meeting. Oh my gosh. Worry no longer. Today I'm gonna go through each of the elements. You have a personal element based on your personal energy number, and I'm gonna talk about what decorations, items, colors are supportive to each element. So first, what you need to do is find out your personal energy number. Go to the link in this description of the video, and it'll take you to a cheat sheet that lists birthdays from like 1950 to today. Go down the different rows, find your birthday. There will be 2 columns. One will be male, one will be female. Find your birthday and column associated with you. There will be a number right there. If the number says 5, make a note. If you are female, your number is actually 8, and if you're male, your number is actually 2. That's in the directions as well, so don't worry. It should be. After you go to those columns, you will find your number that's associated with you. Let's say you see that you're number 1. Number 1 is associated with the water element. Along with the cheat sheet that lists all the birthdays, I've also created 8 different packets for each individual personal energy number. There you can find what element is associated with your number. All right, now you have your personal energy number, you know your element specific to you, and you're like, Jeanette, okay, come on, let's get to the good stuff. How do I decorate to make my space look professional and also support my personal energy? Just before we get into the actual details, what you need to do is find a way to position your desk against a solid wall. We want a solid wall. Hi, plant. We want a solid wall. We want a solid wall that we can actually create a backdrop on. Now there's some other things you can do if you have something like a desktop and you can't totally rotate your whole desk and you're facing a wall. You can get a room divider, or you can get a piece of cloth or something to hang so that it creates a backdrop. And the hanging item or the room divider can be a color that is supportive to your personal energy. But ideally, even in Feng Shui and setting up your desk to be in the power position, you want a solid wall behind you, supporting you. Okay, and if you have a solid wall, take down whatever's there. Let's start with a clean slate. Set up your desktop, turn on your computer camera or wherever you normally place your phone. If you do your video calls on your phone, set it up so you can see what is in the frame of your camera. So for instance, for me, I would look at my computer screen. Right now I'm on my phone, and I see that this is what's in frame. So when I am on a video call, this plant is closer to me. And I could put an X in painter's tape on the ground so I always know where to move that plant in so that it's in frame, and then I can push it back for when I'm not on a video call. And then sometimes my water fountain is a little bit closer in frame as well. For now, it doesn't bother me that it's kind of half in, half out, because I am sometimes in and out. So you have a solid blank wall behind you because we want a fresh slate. You have your computer screen on. Now what we want to think about is typical design tips. You want balance. Right now I have some asymmetric shapes and it's odd numbers and a plant over here. Don't get so advanced. If you have a good eye and you know how to create a balanced look, then perfect. But if you are basic, what I would recommend for a beginner who just wants the basics is getting one large picture and one or two side tables in the back, or even better, one long console table if you can, if you have some space between your back and the wall. And then really you just want balance. It could be two plants on either side if you have a table and a table, a plant and a plant. But very simple and basic is important, because when you're in a meeting presenting, you want to stand out. You want to be the center of attention. The whole point of blurring a background is so people aren't distracted by your background, are often not listening to you and the important things you have to say. So you want your background to be professional, simple, and not distracting, so they're focusing on you and all of the wonderful, impressive statements and points that you're making in your meetings. So now on to the good stuff, each of the elements and how these elements are supported. As a refresher, the elemental cycle is fire, earth, metal, water, wood, back to fire. As we go through each of the elements, keep it simple in your mind. Think of what can I do to put one large picture, or if you don't have a lot of objects or items on a table or any space behind you, you could do 3 large pictures. If you're someone who's unable to have a solid wall behind you and you're going to go the piece of cloth or a divider route, you can consider these colors and these patterns before you purchase a cloth or a room divider. So starting with fire, what supports fire? Wood. We are starting very easy. Wood is represented by plants and the colors blue and green, or a rectangular shape. So to be supported as a fire energy, you can put plants on either side of you. If you have a console table or 2 end tables, you can put a plant here and here, something small. Feng Shui loves orchids. It also loves peonies. But really, Feng Shui loves plants that look good. I am an advocate, maybe one of the few Feng Shui consultants that is an advocate for fake plants. Yes, they're not producing energy and a real plant is better, but if you're like me and you don't have a green thumb, I would much rather just have something that looks nice, even if it's fake, and I don't have to worry about the upkeep. Especially with this, right? We're trying to just keep it simple. We open our laptop, it always looks good, we always know where to sit, and we always know where to have that camera. It's okay in this scenario to buy a fake plant. So if you get a beautiful fake orchid right here, Nearly Natural is a good website, a very good fake plant. You could get an orchid and then have some stalks of bamboo, or a small shrub, a small piece of greenery on the other side. If you don't want to go the plant route and maybe you already have some blue or green pictures, behind you is a perfect place to hang them. Again, think one large piece and everything else being simple is great. Or a painting that is a series of 3. 3 is the number for wood as well. So if you have a series of 4 or 3 paintings, that represents wood. As the fire element, you can also add in more fire. More of the same thing isn't necessarily supportive, but it doesn't hurt it, right? Because it's just more of you, more of what you like. So if you're the fire element, you can put bright colors behind you. That's reds, oranges, purples, magentas, bright colors. Now be careful to not get too busy. I would choose one color that has some lighter tones. Fire is represented by triangles. So for me, I personally don't like the color red. So when I need to bring in fire, I bring in the triangular shape. Rock salt lamps also represent fire, so if you had a really nice painting behind you, just one, keeping it simple, and then you had a small table next to you, you could put one rock salt lamp, or you could put a handful of candles. And the more you can balance it out, the better. So one rock salt lamp and maybe your candles over here would be beautiful. Or even better, You could do a mixture of candles and some small plants. Avoid pokey plants. Avoid cacti, succulents, really pokey plants. You don't want that energy around you while you're trying to be professional and work and make money. The second element is earth. Earth is supported by fire. So everything we just said about the fire element, red, orange, magentas, purples, candles, rock salt lamps, and triangles, you can use any of that to support you as an earth. Now you don't want too much. So in this case, it would be really nice if you had a painting that was an off-white, a beige, a cream color, maybe a soft yellow. And in that painting, there were some reds and some oranges or some light lavenders and purples. You definitely don't want full-on rainbow blast going on behind you. Too much fire scorches earth. But a handful of off-white cream candles is beautiful. If you want to add in more of the earth element, those macrame tapestries that are really popular right now are perfect for earth. They're a nice cottony wool texture. Earth is also represented by the square shape. So you could get one large one, you could get a square image, and then you could frame it with a fire color. A lavender frame, a red frame, or if your artwork is colorful, then you can frame it with a very simple color like white or black, keeping it simple. Another good way to bring in the fire element is with flowers. Now, earth doesn't particularly love wood, but flowers never hurt anybody. So if you could get some red roses, some pink peonies, that would be beautiful with some candles behind you. The next element is metal. Metal people, my 6 and 7s, you guys are pretty easy because everything for you is pretty on trend right now. The colors for metal are white, gray, and the metallics. Silvers, golds, rose golds. But first, how do we support metal? Metal is supported by earth. So everything I just mentioned about the wools and the cottons and the macrame tapestries, those are really great and supportive to metal. Anything on the skin tone color spectrum from a nice light off-white, beige to a rich chocolatey brown, those are all beautiful colors that represent earth. Also, terracotta, ceramics, and pottery are the earth element. So all of these elements support metal. And then if you want to bring in more of you, metal, then you can get square pictures with white frames are perfect. Metal, you are represented by the circle. So you could also get circle decor, that it's gold, that's silver, that pops. And really fun is more crystals or some crystals. Crystals are of the metal element. So behind you on either side, you can get some geodes, some nice amethysts, some crystals to put on either side. I can picture it now. You have some crystals, you have some nice ceramic, white candle holders, and maybe a gold or silver vase holding some soft yellow flowers. Even if you don't have any tables or a console table or space behind you, you can still do one large painting of any of those bright, light, white, pastel-y colors. And if you don't have a solid wall behind you, then a tapestry that has some round, circular shapes, that maybe has some gold or silver in it, but is mostly white, that's very simple and not distracting. You could hang that behind you. On to the water people, my ones. Water, you are supported by metal. So you are supported by gray, white, and all the metallic colors. These days, gold is very popular, so on your desk, if you can see some of your desk from your camera, you can get those nice gold pen holders and paper sorters, paper files. There's a lot of gold office decor out right now, or gold lamps that are out right now. White is a very classic color, so you surely can find some white desk decor, whether it's a white lamp, white vase, or any of those white obscure objects that you see on bookshelves. But you can also use crystals. Since metal supports water, you can also have crystals as items in your backdrop. Remember, keep it balanced. If you'd like to add more of what you are, water is represented by the color black. And also asymmetric, curvy, obscure, flowy shapes. Black is going to be very easy to find. You can find black picture frames, you can find black and white photos to use. If you want to show images of water, try and keep it to still water. You don't really want any gushing waterfalls behind you or like roaring oceans. All of those images are very beautiful to look at, but again, they're kind of distracting behind you. So something still and calming. We want focus when we're working. So maybe you have 2 tall black bookshelves next to you with organized books, and maybe interspersed between the books you have some black objects or some white and gray objects, some crystals lining those bookshelves. The final element is wood. So you already know from our first element a little bit of what wood is. That's my 3 and 4s on my personal energy numbers. Wood is represented by plants, but to support wood, we use water. Water again is represented by black and obscure shapes. Water can simply be represented as a nice still nature photo. It can be black and white imagery, so that could be really beautiful behind you at work. One large black and white photo, maybe it's the Eiffel Tower. I think Hobby Lobby will forever have a black and white photo of the Eiffel Tower. If you have 2 end tables next to you or a long console table, a black or deep navy blue vase with flowers in them is perfect. But the water element is what supports wood, and then if you want to add in more wood, that is blues, greens, and plants. That's all the elements today, folks. If you enjoyed this video even just a little bit, hit that like button, comment below which personal energy number you are, which element you are, and what of these decor tips are you going to start using in your space. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. Follow along with me as I share more of these videos to help you transform a life that you tolerate into one you treasure.